Hey there, friends. Brian King here. I had an awesome conversation with a client yesterday, and we were talking about, and this is not just for this person, I see this across the board with people that have ADHD, Asperger's, and even people who don't. You know, this is a habit that people in general tend to get into. It's something called discounting the positive, which is basically referring to the fact that if you're successful in some way, you find a way to minimize it or dismiss it. You know, well, that doesn't count, or that was just a small success. However, all the negative stuff gets all of your attention. Every mistake, every misstep, every screw up, you can't wait to celebrate those. You've got a perfect track record. You find a way to record those things in memory for antiquity. You can pull them up for a quick point of reference. But heaven forbid something good happens, right? You're sure as heck not going to give yourself credit for that. So I asked this person, what is it about it? Why don't you give yourself credit for the positive things? And her response was, well, if I can't see it, it doesn't count. So that opened up an entirely different conversation. See, people with ADHD or Asperger's tend to be very concrete thinkers. It has to be sensorily measurable. You've got to be able to see it. You've got to be able to quantify it. So let's say you're working off a checklist, which is one of the reasons why lists are advisable for people with these challenges, because you can cross things off. You can check things off. Completion is measurable. When it comes to things like exercising, if you're measuring by weight loss, if you're measuring by a really big time frame, like, well, I'm going to exercise for the next 6 months, it's too big a chunk. It's very hard to measure that. So you have to bring, this is how I think of it, bring your beginnings and endings closer together. Have some measurable distance that you can cross, where you can say, I started here and I ended here. By making it measurable, you can now see it, experience it. It's easier to count it. How do you know if a conversation went well? I don't know. Well, I just started talking to the person. I really didn't know what to say. I kind of felt awkward. I ran out of stuff to talk about, so I felt like I did bad. Well, the reason you did bad is because you didn't start with something you wanted to measure. Case in point, let's keep it Simon simple. You were looking for directions from somebody, right? Okay. Now you have some measurable parameters for that conversation. You need to know how to get somewhere. You'll know you're successful when you get that information. So you're going to approach this person and say, hey, excuse me, do you know how to get to this place? Well, hey, buddy, thanks for asking. As a matter of fact, I do. Here are the directions. So before you started that conversation, you did not have the directions. After the conversation, you do have the directions. Measurable progress, measurable success. Now you can count that. So a lot of the immeasurability or the intangibility of successes is because you haven't started with a goal. You haven't started with an outcome, something that you want to get. Mistakes are often made in life because you don't have a target. Awkwardness is because you go into a situation unprepared, flying by the seat of your pants with no goals, and you fumble your way through it. That's one of the reasons people feel like they're messing up all the time. They don't have anything measurable in mind. You follow me? So this is really important. Now, Tammy just said, she was just writing about this in her journaling this morning. Tammy, you beat me to it. Because here's the recommendation I made to my client, and here's the recommendation I'm going to make to you. It's important to start making notes. I'm not talking about writing a narrative or a lengthy story, just making some notes every morning about what you want to accomplish that day. Even if it's, hey, I want to feel happy today. I want to feel 10% happier today than I did yesterday. What does 10% look like? Okay, well, if I laughed a couple more times, or whatever measure you want to put on it, as long as you can count it, measure it somehow, so at the end of the day, you can review your morning notes and say, that's where I started, here's where I ended up. Did I make progress? Measurable progress? Yes, I did. Hallelujah. Now I can give myself credit for the positive instead of dismissing them, because now I can see it. I can experience it. I can measure the change, measure the progress I've made. This is a simple but a powerful tool that will allow you to start accounting for more of the positives in your life because they're there. You're just likely not giving credit where it's due because you don't have a way for your concrete mind to capture it. So start doing this and let me know how it goes. Hopefully it's going to be very helpful for you. And please share it with somebody that you know could benefit from this. And remember, I do this for a living, folks. I help people with ADHD and Asperger's to develop a mastery over their mindset, everything they're doing between their ears, so they can be as effective and productive like this as much as possible. Nothing's perfect, nothing's 100%, but if you were doing it more than you're doing it now, imagine how different your life would be. So if this is something you're interested in learning from me, shoot me off a message. We'll talk about how to make it happen. In the meantime, have an awesome week. This has been Brian, and we'll talk again soon.